Alright, so this video is my advice on how to fight depression. Depression is something that a lot of us will experience at some point. A lot of us are already experiencing it and don't know it. And while I'm talking about it, I will go ahead. I'm trying to make sure I always mention this so people can understand, you know, what I'm about and, why I would talk about a topic like this. I am in school right now to become a therapist. I'm almost done. Got plans to get my private practice. So these are things that I'm passionate about. But I decided to share, my story with depression. Hopefully it can, help some people out. But throughout my life, I had always had a lot of anger. A lot of anger. I was alone. I would be ducked off. Like, don't get me wrong. I knew a lot of people. Had access to being around a lot of people, from playing sports, being known through that standpoint. But from an internal standpoint, I was troubled, very troubled, and nobody really knew because on the outer surface it may have looked like everything was good. I finally hit a point of deep depression to where I wouldn't wish this on anybody. And what I mean by deep depression is, if you've been depressed and you've hit this point, you'll understand. It's like a empty feeling, a very, very empty feeling where I literally felt my insides. I felt hollow. I was going through a lot of different emotional things at the time, and had no understanding, on how to get out of that. But along this time of me going through that depressed state, not having appetites, not caring about stuff, going through the motions, just unmotivated. Like it was bad. But in that time frame, that's around the same time that I started growing more spiritually, and not necessarily religious wise, but growing more spiritually. And it helped to start, the process of improving. Now, what I will say for this next part, I do not recommend anybody to try to fight depression on their own. All right, I recommend everybody to seek out some type of counselor, therapist, somebody, even if it ain't counselor, therapist. I would recommend that because a good one, because they are going to have a little bit more knowledge and experience with it, and it's always good to have somebody there unbiased to be able to listen and possibly give advice if needed, so on and so forth. So I wouldn't recommend anybody to just try to fight depression on their own, because it could get very, very dark. Fortunately for me, it did not get dark, even though unfortunately I had to fight it on my own. But that was kind of my own doing, and that was because once I started growing spiritually, I kind of knew and had faith within myself that on this spiritual journey, I know I will be able to get to the point that I need to. And I decided to do that on my own, because what I had to realize is that if I kept trying to reach out to people to fill a void, what happens when nobody is there to help fill that void? Then I'm going to have to deal with those issues that I should have possibly dealt with, at the onset of my depression. So what I did purposely was seclude myself from everybody. That way, what I desired, I knew that if I could master that, that would then become a strength to where I wouldn't necessarily need that no more. So again, I don't recommend anybody going about doing it that way. That's just what I did, and for me, it did work out, but it was extremely, extremely, extremely hard. So I do not recommend anybody that's going through depression to go through it alone. Seek some form of help. I would recommend some type of professional help. But for me personally, I went through it on my own, and at the beginning stages of it, it was extremely, extremely hard. But eventually and gradually, things started changing, but I also started changing. So the things that I would possibly allow before that possibly played into me getting to that depressed state, I started changing those things, and I started looking more at myself and seeing what is it that I can do, how's it that I'm playing into my own depression? And so in doing that, it allowed me to do a lot of self-healing, a lot of self-work, which I think a lot of people skip over because when they are depressed, they want to stay busy. They want to get their mind off whatever it is that's consuming their mind, whatever it is that has them in that emotional state. And I don't think that's a good thing, because at some point you are going to have to face whatever it is that you're running from. And so being that I was thinking this at that time, that's why I started secluding myself from everybody and wanted to be in a alone state so I can go ahead and deal with whatever it is that I needed to deal with. That way I can come out a lot stronger than I was at that point. And it did work out that way. So for anybody that's in that position, going through any type of depression, seek some form of help. Don't go through it on your own. At some point I may make a video about specific things you can do, but this video is not necessarily about that. It's just to say, it's more so to convey that depression is a normal thing that everybody is going through. Only certain people go through it a lot worse, or certain people acknowledge it or know what it is, know what's going on. It's a lot of people that's going through it that don't necessarily know, but that's because there's not enough advocacy for it, not enough people that's addressing it and telling people, hey, a lot of your problems are rooted in this, and it needs to be addressed before it gets worse. But for those that are already at that depressed state, like I said, seek some type of professional help. I know it's hard to find a counselor or a therapist that's genuine and that you resonate with, because not every counselor or therapist will be able to help you the way that particular one will be able to help you. So seek that person out. That way you have an unbiased person there that has the necessary knowledge and experience to put forth a plan to really help you out. Understand, it's going to be a long journey. It's not something that you just wake up the next day and it's done and over with and you all better and you never go through it, so on and so forth. No, it's going to be a journey, and you have to have the patience and understanding, but know that if you stay committed to it, and if you do have that extra help there, that shoulder to lean on, or whatever the case may be, you will get through it. All right. For anybody, if somehow I can help you out, if you don't mind sharing, I don't know if you're just trying to share it in the comments, or if you would be willing to email me if I can help out. I'm always open for that. Again, I'm trying to become a counselor or therapist, whatever term you want to use. And even before deciding to be a counselor or therapist, this has always been who I am. Like, enjoying helping people and seeing people, be the best version of themselves, and just be in a happy position as far as internally. That's always been me. So if I can help you out with that, after seeing this video, you want to reach out to me and you want to keep it private, reach out to me in the comment section. I'll give you my email and we can go from there. But if you find this video helpful, hit the thumbs up, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I appreciate y'all.